Dude, I'm so tired. I would give anything to get 8 hours of sleep. What about going to bed 8 hours before you have to wake up? No, I'm not doing that.
Hey, fun fans. It's We Enjoy with an abridged version this week because we're talking about Wolf and we're a couple days behind and we want to get through things because we also got to do the Guardians cast. So we're going to cut a little few segments out of this one so we can bring to you in the main event today 1994's Mike Nichols' Triumph Wolf.
The movie Mike Nichols is remembered for.
Yes, his the apex of his career. All about lycanthropy in the cutthroat world of New York publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the Mattitude, Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hey, everybody. You were a little, I felt like you were holding back saying we're a couple days late with this. We're a few days late. It's all my fault. Back-to-back travel weeks for me. I don't have any travel planned anytime coming up. So hopefully we won't have these be so late for a while. But I apologize. And yeah, this one
It's
we're going to make a truncated one.
Yeah, we're not going to have any. It turns out we hate things this week and have no good things to recommend.
Sure.
So no good things for you to enjoy this week. In fact, we realized too, recommending good things to enjoy. Everyone's already has a list, much less things we recommend to them. So the fact that you actually watch anything that we do recommend, we're very honored by because you've got people in your ear all day long telling you this is great, you should watch it. Obviously, you should listen to us first.
Yeah,
more than your friends and loved ones, but
the one and only news story we're going to have this week involves the fact that you might have some time to catch up more than you would normally.
Possibly.
Yes.
I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out. Obviously the sooner the better because we want all the grievances addressed and the wrongdoings reconciled for the writers who are currently on strike in the WGA. But before we touch on the WGA strike, which will take up our news portion this week. And then I don't even think people wrote in this week, so that's fine. And we're going to skip over the good things to enjoy, go right into the main event, which is Wolf. Eric, Galactic Star Cruiser. You already heard me go blah, blah, blah about it a year ago. I can only assume, and there's no way of really confirming this one way or the other, that a year in, because when we went to the Halcyon, it was very new. And I assumed that they dialed in things a bit better a year later, for you guys. And I just want to know what your experience was, aside from the fact that you clearly had an inferior Wraith and a superior Croy.
That's the name of my band. Inferior Wraith, superior Croy. Or my autobiography. So, for me, a couple things that make it, asterisk, which is that I'd physically been there before and I did that 4-hour, Cliff Notes version of it. But the more important thing I think to say is I can't really tell you. Obviously, I can't tell you how different it is a year in or not because I've only done it the once. But I can tell you that this was definitely a unique time to do it because this was the May the 4th journey. This was the one that was going to be happening during May the 4th, aka Star Wars Day, and that meant that I didn't even really think about this ahead of time. I knew they were inviting press because it was May the 4th. And by the way, unlike when they did all press before it officially opened, this was just a small selection of press. It was mostly paid customers and then a small selection of press. So also keep in mind, I didn't pay for it, right? And everything I say is through the lens of what I can think having not paid for it. But the main thing when I got there was realizing, oh shit, this is a mega fan because it's May the 4th. Matt, there were so many people doing it for their second or third time. Paying customers.
Oh no, were they saying what was going to happen before it was going to happen?
No. Okay. Most of it was
were they singing screaming along to all the Taylor Swift songs, annoying people around them and causing a big hubbub on TikTok?
They were singing along to Gaia's songs. I don't know.
Gaia
Swift is in space.
I don't know. Gaia but dwarfs.
There were definitely people singing
Taylor Swift in fandom
to the Gaia songs. But there was a bunch of people that had already been there. Were doing it again. And a big thing that I thought about a little bit, but then someone did say, one of the press said it was her third time being there. And I should say that as far as I knew, there was no one there who was press who was doing it the second time as press. So there were people doing it as press, but they'd been there because they'd paid before, if you follow. And so this one girl said it was her third time This time she was going as press, but she said, I've never seen it with this few kids, and including her own, who she'd brought when she was a paid customer.
Okay.
And that did stick out to me. I thought, like, honestly, we asked for the 8:00 dinner because we thought it'd be less kids, but it turned out there was almost no kids, because it was this like hardcore adult fan base, some of whom were doing it for their second or third. I was told some had done it even more than that. Someone told me some had done it 6 times. I can't confirm that.
That is pricey.
That is pricey. That is a certain level of both fandom and money that most people cannot reach. Anyway, I had a great time. I thought it was awesome. It kind of confirmed what I expected from when I went last year to that little preview. Just as far as there's a lot of boxes you have to check. The entire is it worth it because it is so expensive question. I mean, first and foremost, it's too expensive. It should be cheaper. And that's a big barrier. And it's very notable that they started to offer 30% discounts more and more in different ways, including to Disney Chase users, which is the first thing I could get a discount on, because everything else had been like Disney Vacation Club members or pass holders for Florida, which things I was not. But I do have a Disney Chase card. So it's like, okay, 30% off, that helps a lot. But again, it's that big thing of not only are you a huge Star Wars fan, which many people could say yes to, but are you into the sort of interactive theater that it is? Because, that's really what it's all about. And, so we went with, we brought our friends Brent Bonita, who oft mentioned on this podcast, who Matt knows. And Brent said to me, yeah, it's like, he thought, when you first hear about it, everyone's like the Star Wars hotel. But of course, it's not a Star Wars hotel. It's the experience. And that's, what it's all about.
It's an interactive, like you would think, like what a murder mystery
dinner. Yes.
Yeah.
But it goes for 2 days or for like about 48 hours.
Day and a half. Yeah.
And you're and you're part of it, and you have to be, to really do it, you have to be all in on that, because if you aren't all in on that, then I think it's a complete waste of money. Like, why would you pay all that money to just sit in the corner and not participate? But we had a great time, and I really did enjoy all the tasks. I chose to be first order, and that's, look, I don't have the money that I could be doing this multiple times like all these people were, but they were all doing most of them were doing different paths than they did before, because that would be the fun, right? Is like, I was first order this time, so I was always helping Lieutenant Croy.
Yeah, it's like when you play a game again to get a different ending.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed, like, I if you look at my Instagram, you'll see a bunch of posts, and my Twitter, the Eric Goldman on both. But like, I liked the fun of, like, at one point I was waiting to go into engineering to meet with Lieutenant Croy about sabotaging the ship, but around the corner for where we were waiting was a big group of people that made me look over, and they were helping hide Rey.
Yeah.
And they were trying to keep her from the stormtroopers seeing her. And that was,
it's
really
very
fun.
Keystone Cops, by the way. It's just like form a human shield in front of Rey.
Yeah.
Like,
but the main thing is, in Wraith, who is this manager character, he's running around and there's people following him. And it's just, that's the fun, is you're on your missions, which are fun, but it is fun to kind of interact or cross paths with other people's missions and kind of get that idea, because you're all part of the same big story. The story doesn't really deviate. It's going to have the same ending no matter what happens. But it is this fun thing to see.
Rey got killed.
Yeah, this version.
It's crazy.
Croy just kills Wraith at the end. Because I've seen the ending now twice, because when I did the 4-hour version, they did the ending. Anyway, yeah, it was a blast. And I'll say this, Matt, before this, because Trish had just said, and it made sense, because she loves Star Wars, but she's not at the level I'm at Star Wars fandom wise. And as the interactive theater thing goes, she could be in on that for like a night, but it sounded a lot to her for like the 2 full days, basically. Mm-hmm. And we had talked about, would we ever do Galactic Star Cruiser? And it basically, she's like, she probably wouldn't. And so I always thought, I'm going to try to save up some money, find 3 friends, because obviously it's cheaper if 4 of you share a room together. And one day I'd do it that way.
Yeah, because we did 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that we've done it, she said, I'd consider doing this again. It'd be a few years. Like, she's not like,
right. Well, also you'd wonder if they change the story, change things.
That's a big question.
The event, change like certain things. Now, speaking of changes, I brought up the Superior Croy and the Inferior Wraith earlier, because April actually was the one who saw this when you tweeted the picture of your Croy, who's the First Order representative on this in this story.
And we should say, of course, they have rotating cast because they can't ask these people to back do this.
But this so when you went to the press event for this, the Wraith Cole, who's sort of the manager of Gaia, who's also recruiting for the rebellion in this case, was a different actor than the Wraith that we had.
Yes,
but this was the first time that we noticed that different actors were swapping roles.
Yep,
and so your Troy, your evil guy, was our Wraith, who is a silver fox. He is a handsome, charismatic dude who obviously, if he was Croy on our cruise, we would have been First Order too.
I don't blame you. I love it.
And then you showed me the picture of your Wraith, and it was our dumpy bozo Croy, who worked as a villain. But if this was the guy who was recruiting for the good guys for the rebellion, I would have said no.
He was really fun.
Honestly, Eric, all I care about is Uani and the Rhodian musician. So
yeah, she's great. No, the guy who played Wraith, we actually we talked about how we thought he was great. Like, he actually did a really fun job.
He was a great Croy too.
And I had the same captain from the preview that I went to.
Yeah, your captain was different from mine. I don't know who.
So I've had the same captain both times that I was physically present.
Your Gaia was different than mine.
Yeah.
My Gaia was Taylor Swift.
Well, that was a boon.
The only time that I truly felt it should have been a little cheaper was every time, or both mornings there, trying to get any type of non-dairy milk substitute for my coffee. Which is funny because it's so commonplace nowadays. It's not like this rare thing that it was decades ago.
No, not
that
at
there's
all.
Something, but the fact that they didn't have it readily available for someone's coffee or cereal or whatever in the morning was crazy. And again, they had only been open about a month at this point. So
sure.
But the fact that every time I said that, say, "Oh, I'll check the kitchen," and it would take 20 minutes, I was like, they just walked into fucking Galaxy's Edge to get me this, didn't they?
They might have. Yeah, it's you. Ultimately, you feel like, hey, this is an expensive thing. Just the staff alone, the fact that these actors are like
they're so talented.
They're so talented because they have to do they have their script, they have their story, but then they have to improv with all of us bozos.
And you have to deal with not just
characters,
different ages. Now we had kids. We had kids on ours.
Usually, there's a lot more kids
and different levels of fandom.
Yep.
Right. So it's sort of twofold. All right, now everyone's heard us talk about this extreme privileged vacation of a Galactic Star Cruiser vacation twice now in the matter of a year. So let's get into the WGA strike. I'm glad you and Trish and Brent Benita had a blast.
We did.
Baja blast.
I had a Baja blast earlier today when I went to Taco Bell.
I know, I can smell it on you. Much like Jack Nicholson can smell the tequila on his coworker in Wolf. More on that later. Okay, WGA strike.
Which is almost a week old, as we're recording on Sunday night, so we should say
based on the age range of those who are listening to us, you may have been fully cognizant during the previous WGA strike about almost 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're even reading IGN at the time when I was only a freelancer then, but Eric was covering it with Travis Fickett and actually interviewed some showrunners and creators out on the picket line.
And actors.
Who
joined them.
It is a different world of entertainment now, because this was the previous WGA strike was before the world of streaming, not just before Netflix, but before now all the streamers. And the streaming has become a big crux of this new strike too. And
it was in its infancy in that, buying episodes on iTunes had started to become a thing. Like the Office basically getting saved for early in its life because its iTunes sales were so good. That had already happened. So there was this idea of like, hey, in the future, we're going to be finding more and more TV available on the internet. And so that was included in the last strike, but in a smaller way and in a way where they didn't know how much they needed to fight for,
Right. Obviously, because it's all new. Web series were a thing through the aughts, including something born of the WGA strike, which was Dr. Horrible. It's an interesting thing that's happening right now because we're also in an era with more content than ever. Movies, TV, streaming TV. And with more streamers out there means more shows are in the bank than ever before. And I actually think we can look to, if people are wondering what this might be like if this actually lasts 100 days like the last strike did. What can I look forward to? How are my stories going to be affected? Obviously, that's sort of like, we can't help but think that way, even though the focus is on the writers and their their fair compensation for their work and being treated like, part of the actual creative engine and paid appropriately for what they do. But like, because it affected things so much last time around, not always for the worst. Like, not all shows that got shortened seasons were worse for it. But yeah, a lot of shows didn't get to finish their seasons last time.
We should say, because when 15 years ago, don't forget, it's like, obviously cable was a thing. HBO with prestige shows on HBO, and Breaking Bad had just begun. So this was already a thing, but it was still network shows primarily, and even a lot of those cable shows, not all, but a lot, were still doing the thing of like filming as they were airing. So you had a lot more, unlike Netflix, say, which just always banks its entire, but even Disney Plus, even the ones that are doing weekly rollouts, are almost never in production. I don't think.
No, they're not. Ever. Even though it's a weekly.
They're never in production while they're airing. But last time, most things people cared about were
like, they were only a couple episodes ahead of the production schedules, writing wise. So when things shut down, they literally they couldn't even like film an ending or do anything. So things just got cut short.
And timing wise, even it was much worse, because even with network shows this time, most of them have wrapped their season because we're already in May. So it's like, even, most of them are, they're airing their finales in the next couple weeks, versus the last strike, which was in November and just completely cut all these seasons in half.
What this is going to mostly do, everyone thinks at this point, is delay things that haven't come out yet, that are in production now, that are shutting down. So Stranger Things, which was huge news just a few days ago of like being shut down. The big ones, House of the Dragon, the marquee streaming shows or HBO Max shows or whatever, that will probably be instrumental in getting the producers and the studios to actually acquiesce.
But you're bringing up actually examples that are a little different, because House of the Dragon and or is it Power of the Rings? What is the Lord of the Rings show called?
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. Yeah.
Both those shows, which are in production on their second season, the studios have said, we're going to keep filming. We have all the scripts. And which instantly raises red flags, because usually it's like, what if you need to rewrite while you're filming, which is often the case. But versus Stranger Things, which was in its first week of production on its final season and is already shut down. And we'll see what there's Cobra Kai shut down. I don't think Cobra Kai is
Yellow Jackets was in the middle of writing.
So it's like you mentioned, it's like it will not be as immediate. It'll really be like the pandemic, and
that's what. So that was my question.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be more similar to the pandemic, which shut down everything, including reality shows? Like, everything just got shut down.
Yeah.
Except that because Netflix had things pre-filmed. And streamers had things pre-filmed. We didn't feel it the way that we did the first writer's strike because of streaming. Because streamers bank all these things.
We still had Mandalorian season 2 in 2020 because it had already been filmed. So I mean, that's a huge difference. But because there's a lot. The thing is, like, we're not going to go into all the details of everything the writers are fighting for, except to say it's a lot, and there's a huge like impasse. Like, if you look at like what they were asking for and what the studios were offering, how far away they are, it's massive as far as a much better residual system on streaming, which once again goes into the question of viewership numbers that the studios didn't even want to release. All sorts of specifics on it's a lot of it to do with streaming, because streaming has really hurt how the entire structure of everything is done.
Streaming has sort of dismantled the traditional model of how TV show writing is done, which is writers' rooms, writers who go to set
when your episode is being made. You're on set to help guide it.
And sort of a very important part of the industry, which is the apprenticeship of writers, becoming lead writers, becoming producers, and becoming more creatively involved outside of the writer's room. And it's really hurt.
And it's really hurt just even the money, like, just even writers like feeling like they're making a living again, because we're not talking about like, Shonda Rhimes or the Duffer Brothers or these like marquee creators, Ryan Murphy, who have giant multi-million-dollar deals. We're talking about like the writing staff and the fact that you are now working on shows that make way less episodes. You are contracted for way less time. You are not, there's and you're not getting residuals, and so or you're getting minuscule residuals. So there's all these things that have really hurt, like just writers making a living writing.
And so many reports have talked about how it's turned a huge swath of TV writing into a gig economy.
Yes.
Because you just take you just fill your year with these short-term writing contracts instead of being a part of a exactly.
Yeah, you try to fill it. So there's all that stuff.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you fill it, right?
Plus the fucking AI of it all, and this fight to stop the studios from using AI to like the big fear is that studios are starting to talk about using AI to generate a first draft of a script
and then hire the writers to rewrite it. Yeah.
To rewrite it, which would make the writers less money because contractually you get most money for like there's more money for writing the first draft, which would not be done by a human. So all this stuff is these huge battles, and there's way more minutia to it than we're even going to be able to talk about here. But I think, the big question is how long will this take? And some people are fearing it will take for way longer than the last strike, maybe, which went for months, because there's such a split. But there's a couple things to keep in mind here that I know can go both ways on how long it goes. One is every other major guild, like Directors Guild, Screen Actors Guild, all have contracts up soon too. And they're all going to have the same concerns because this has been an industry-wide issue with the way everything's changed to streaming and the fact that the studios have managed to game the system to keep more money for themselves because none of the old ways are set. And the AI thing is a concern, mostly, except for maybe directing, but there's still concerns. Even Screen Actors Guild, it's a concern because there's stuff about like, I think there was some Netflix stuff where there was like weird things in contracts about like, we can use AI to like recreate your voice and stuff that, people have noticed in contracts. So people think it could go either way because, oh my God, we're at such a split and the studios don't want to back down on any of this. And they have to deal with all the other guilds. But then some people are like, yeah, but if all the guilds are together on this, it's like, and do the studios really want, even though they do have things banked, for a bit, but do they really want so soon after the pandemic to fall so behind again? Even movies.
Everything's just catching up at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
CinemaCon was all about, hey, the theaters are back, movies are back. We got a bunch of big movies this year. Well, guess what? If all these movies start getting delayed again, and we're already like, Blade won't go into production as scheduled, and it's going to happen to a lot more big movies soon because they're supposed to be getting rewrites right now. They're not getting. So I'm knock on wood hopeful that maybe they can wrap this up in the next couple months, but I'm also aware it could
solidarity is the only weapon we have against late stage capitalism. It's like the only weapon we have is uniting. And sidebar though, side quest, to be honest, an AI could totally write an episode of CSI. I'm just like, if they want to use it to write CBS procedurals, that's fine. And AI could never write Barry. You know what I mean? Skynet doesn't understand tone, like dramedy. Like, what is that's insane. That's my way of saying that the CSI, the so many of those CBS shows are so bad.
I even though I'm sure plenty of them,
I'm glad that they employ people. That
I don't think AI should be used. Eric Goldman does not endorse AI being used to write episodes of CSI.
Only like on well, they just canceled SWAT, but like if they brought SWAT back, maybe an AI could write SWAT.
Although SWAT being canceled is a great example of just how fucking weird TV is these days.
SWAT was doing well.
Its ratings were up this season.
Yeah.
But again, they couldn't work out the economics of the fact that it wasn't owned by the studio and the network. It was it was one of those things where it was not airing on a network where the studio owned it. And there's a lot of weird shit like that. Like 911 just got canceled by Fox and immediately saved by ABC because Disney owns it. And it was still a hit show. But again, it was a show that this many years in, and Angela Bassett's salary, I'm sure, is only going up. they're like, we don't own it, and we don't want to keep spending more money to make it in year 7. But Disney's like, we'll keep making it because we make all the money off of it. So yeah, weird fucking times. And yeah, we can only hope this gets resolved quickly for everyone. Certainly siding with the writers on this, but yes, of course, on the consumer side, we don't want to see it slow down everything again. It raises so many million questions about, again, going into this is not the importance of the strike, people, but just like, hey, would Comic-Con happen? I mean, it would happen, but like, would any of the big panels happen if this is, because what's happening already is like, you're having writers who are like, I'm not going to do press right now. And John Mulaney's like, I'm not going to do the sit down panel I was supposed to do with Jon Stewart because I'm a writer first and foremost. And I don't want to be, I don't want to help promote Netflix's product that was my product. But it's like, if I'm striking against Netflix, I shouldn't be like doing a sit down interview for this Netflix thing. So,
all right.
Yeah.
I apologize for saying AI should be the head writer for the CBS procedurals. But I also expect an apology back for having to hear the line. I asked my friend on the dark web what was up, and he said a new hacker's in town. So I think both sides need to apologize. Okay. That line was brought to us by True Lies, the series. Not to be confused with Arnold Schwarzenegger's new series where he plays a spy who's kept the secret, this time from his daughter, who's also kept the secret she's a spy from him. Which
I'm
is
sorry
like,
to hear that True Lies, though.
No, I am too. It's terrible, and I like everyone in it, but it's terrible.
But also, it's from Matt Nix, who did Burn Notice, which was really good, and he did The Gifted, which I think had its moments. It wasn't great.
I also liked his show he did with Colin Hanks and the
good guys.
Good Guys, not the nice guys, the good guys. I like the one season of that too. No, it's not good. And it has an actress whose name I can't remember from She-Hulk, who we just saw last summer.
Ginger Gonzaga, who I just saw at the Guardians of the Galaxy premiere a couple weeks ago.
All right. We're going to do the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast right after we do this one. So let's get into Wolf here. But yes, we hope that this gets resolved as quickly as possible so that the strikers can get back to work with new, remodeled, sort of with a new pay model that they are pleased with and can accept. So,
Yep.
All right. Eric Wolf, speaking of studio politics, let's get into the cutthroat politics of Manhattan book editing, because this movie is an absolute snore. I saw this movie in the theater. I saw this movie in the theater, and at first I thought I didn't, but then I realized the only memory I have of this movie, aside from just like images of Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer being in it, was James Spader, because I remember it was so interesting to me when he just shows up and he's got wolf eyes and he's all creepy and sniffing. That's the scene that stuck out to me decades later from this movie, was James Spader dialing up his James Spaderness because he's so elegantly typecast.
Smarmy Spader.
Sleazebag, that he's so perfect at, coming out of his run of sleazebags, 80s sleazebags into this 90s sleazebag role. That's what stuck with me the most. So that's what made me remember I must have seen this in the theater. So this movie from the fourth we've done in this run? Is this number 4, Eric?
Sure.
So no, it's 5. It's 5.
Okay.
We did Misery, we did Silence of the Lambs, we did Cape Fear, and then we did Dracula. This is definitely the least intense horror movie of these. This is,
but it's in the Master of Terror, Mike Nichols.
It's like, as you think of Carpenter, Craven, Nichols, as the Mount Rushmore of horror. Mike Nichols, not known for this type of movie, even though this movie doesn't really go that far into the horror bend.
But literally, this is the only thing he ever did with genre element to it.
Yeah, he's done dramas. I mean, he's mostly known for sort of dramatic comedies. He's done excellent work. He broke big. Like, he's Mike Nichols, for those who don't know, comes from an extensive theater background and became famous for directing the film adaptation of Virginia Woolf's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I should say, which was itself a play. but it is a amazing movie as well. And then right after that, The Graduate. So like 1-2 punch
back
for
to back
him.
years. Yeah. So huge sort of cinematic debut with those two movies. And then all these other movies he did. And like you said, he flipped back and forth between comedy and drama. But, and he didn't direct that much. But it's like, the stuff he directed, I mean, he did Silkwood, which is obviously a big drama. But then in 88, he had two movies. He had Biloxi Blues and Working Girl, and he had Postcards from the Edge. And known for very often witty and certainly very sort of dialogue driven, whether it was comedy or drama, dialogue driven stuff. Worked with a lot of great actors. He was definitely like a director that actors wanted to work with, because it's like he'd done.
We should bring up the Elaine May of it all too. Elaine May, who is a oft uncredited rewriter screenwriter who worked side by side with Mike Nichols, who worked on this film as well, and both of them came from theater and improv comedy. So
and the crazy thing about this movie, because although I don't think I was just based on what you just said, I might not be as harsh on it as you, but I don't think it's good. But it's crazy because like after this, his next movie after this is The Birdcage, which is A, great, and B, a comedy, and C, was a big hit.
I like Primary Colors too.
Yeah. No, he still made movies. I like Closer. He died a few years ago, but he was still doing movies. In the aughts. So this was a huge.
Oh, that's right. He did Closer.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah. Talking about drama. Yeah.
So. But yeah, like this was still a huge deviation for him that it was a fucking werewolf movie. And the thing about this movie is I didn't find it like deadly dull, but I don't think it works ultimately. The thing that I think is funny is that to me, the first half is more interesting and there's some stuff I like about it, but that's because the first half, the stuff that comes alive in this movie is the New York publishing stuff, is what Mike Nichols might make a whole movie about. Where the movie collapses to me, I don't know, because I thought like David Hyde Pierce killing it. So
we should mention, if you're going to bring him up, that two gods of 90s sitcoms are in this movie, which is David Hyde Pierce and David Schwimmer, the two Davids.
David Hyde Pierce had already broken out. Schwimmer had not, so he has like two lines as a cop, which is funny. So I saw this movie in the theater. I didn't remember any details except it wasn't good. And I also didn't remember any of the supporting cast except Spader. Obviously I remember the above the title, Nicholson and Pfeiffer. But then no one else but Spader. So the opening credits, I was like, oh, Ron Rifkin. Oh, Richard Jenkins. Like there was a lot of like...
Right. No. And then, Christopher Plummer.
Yep.
And Nelligan, who apparently replaced Mia Farrow, which would have been a weird role for Mia Farrow because it's so kind of a nothing role.
Mm-hmm.
And
she has a couple big scenes.
I should say that I don't want to immediately bury the lead here, which is that Sybil Fawlty is in this movie in one scene. Prunella Scales as the writer Maud, who's having that discussion with.
So I don't know any of those names you just said, but I did wonder who that woman was.
Sybil Fawlty is the fictional wife of a fictional character, Basil Fawlty from Fawlty Towers.
Okay.
She played John Cleese's wife in the Fawlty Towers series, which is the pinnacle of sitcoms. But she appears in that one scene.
Yeah, has the big writer who's because I wondered who that was, because I'm like, well, that's got to be someone playing this.
And it is someone. It is Sybil Fawlty.
Yes.
I can both be really, really bored and disinterested in all the things that are going on in this publishing house, and simultaneously pissed off that we don't end with him keeping his job and the whole thing that he worked so hard for, like fighting for his life back, and he just has to go be a werewolf in the woods, run away. Like he's never cleared of his wife's murder per se. Like he just has to flee the scene and live a life in the New England wilderness as a puppet wolf.
As a wolf. It's funny. I honestly was not bored by the
so bad
machinations of the battle over the senior editor job. I was entertained by that, because I don't know. I thought like Spader, when we meet him, he's very funny and charming. Obviously, he's going to very quickly have his inevitable Spader heel turn. But yeah, like I was enjoying all that stuff, because I also thought it was just like, oh, this is where Mike Nichols is comfortable. Where he is not comfortable is werewolf battles. And there's like,
it's not good.
It's not well directed when anytime it turns into like trying to be a werewolf horror
You've
movie.
got Rick Baker here too doing the effects that you barely get to see because
they obviously want Nicholson to look like Nicholson. Yeah, it's like they don't want a full werewolf because they don't want to lose.
And
Jack
I mean,
Nicholson.
like in the final fight at the end, like there's really quick cuts of like obviously a big prosthetic face because he is looking a little more wolfy, and it's not him. But
our third werewolf movie that Baker worked on,
he's like, get me Baker if you're doing a werewolf.
I mean, obviously him winning that Oscar for the first time.
You mentioned this last week. This is one we definitely could have done during our werewolf run, but we were saving it for this run particularly because it would have. Yeah, it's the only werewolf of the pack in this horror bunch. That was purposeful.
Okay.
But you're like, what the fuck did you just do? Music by Ennio Morricone, like all these.
Again, this is a high caliber because it is.
This movie cost $70 million, Eric, and in 1994, which is, you have to think post Batman. Nicholson's
getting a shitload for this. Yeah, him and Pfeiffer, which at this point, it's like, oh my god, Joker and Catwoman. But they worked together before either was a Batman villain and Witches of Eastwick.
So this was a Witches of Eastwick reunion.
Yeah.
And part of me, part of this movie is too, like him getting bit and becoming less, he's supposed to be everyone in the beginning of this movie is whispering. Everyone's talking in like, and like, but then like he starts getting his swagger. His hair grows in a little bit. So he's got a fuller head of hair. He's got more verve, a little spring in his step.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's he is what you call at the beginning, if you are what male podcasters would call a beta cuck at the beginning of this movie, a soy boy beta cuck.
Jack Nicholson is.
And so, and it like basically like gives him the courage to stand up for himself instead of sort of shirking and shrinking away from an obvious betrayal in his life. His protege has turned against him.
Yeah.
Weaseled him out of this position. But I wanted a werewolf to come in like at that. First of all, ain't no party like a Christopher Plummer party. But I wanted that when they're all talking about like pop culture and art, I wanted a werewolf to come in and eat everyone. I hated everything that was happening.
I was into that stuff. And to me, the version of this movie,
a new genre of film I did not know. I thought this felt like Crimes and Misdemeanors. I was saying like,
I mean, I don't know. I found it legit. I think because I found it witty. Like I found the interplay, and I thought obviously you've got great actors, but it's like Spader and Plummer and all these people are kind of throwing out these little one-liners that I enjoyed. And I thought, well, the version I'm guessing Mike Nichols would have been much more interested in. And I'm very curious how much, there was a big behind the scenes, the movie had multiple writers, multiple rewrites. The ending was reshot after poor test screening, and the movie was delayed several months because of that. And I assume it's like, Nichols probably was attracted to the idea of like a light werewolf movie, a movie, everything you're just saying about like this guy who's kind of being walked over a little bit of his job and he becomes a werewolf, but it's like more about how that like affects him in his like day to day, because there's no way Mike Nichols was like, I'm going to tell a great werewolf lore movie and werewolf battles. And I would have been more interested, I think, ultimately, if they'd just gone all in on the publishing, man. I wanted a showdown. Well,
if that's the case, then like make him still make him the head of his department or whatever deal he worked out, but like as Will Wolf. Like
no, something.
Like, he's like,
just make it
my new business is called Wolf Publishing.
It's just Teen Wolf, where he's just like openly a wolf,
and he's like, look at my fuzzy hands,
and he's like strutting down the office as a wolf.
Starts a basketball league between publishing houses.
Because to me, it's like the movie clearly like goes off the rails in that now I don't care at all. Once he's like going to meet with an old man who's giving him an amulet and stuff, that it's just like, yes, this is classic werewolf story stuff, but it's being done in that is done in a very dull way, and by a director who's a great director, but is not only is not good at that sort of stuff, but I don't think cares about that sort of stuff. So it's just kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? I
hope Will eventually, I hope he actually takes a break from his fugitive life in the woods and goes and bites that guy's hand, because
oh yeah, by the way, very strange to me that the actor playing that part, who they really talk up as being old, like he wrote this book in 1948 and Will's assistant is like, this guy sounds like he's over 100, and then you see him and he's very obviously a guy in old age makeup.
I wonder why they just didn't hire an old guy.
Right. He was 44, that actor.
Yeah.
He was a very famous international actor.
Also, that's what 44-year-olds looked like back then.
Yeah,
so
but I was like, why did they could have gotten some, because Christopher Plummer is like a decade older than Nicholson. So it's like, okay, these are obviously, these guys that are appropriate age for these roles. But then it's like,
if we're gonna talk age gaps here, and this wasn't as people wouldn't narrow their eyes as much at this back then, especially in the decades preceding.
This was this was so common, not only for leading men of the era, but I think for like Nicholson and those guys who kind of rose up in the 70s but were still leading men, that they would just be put with beautiful women 20 years younger than them, Yeah,
in this case, 22, 20, I can't remember what the age gap was here. Nicholson was 57 in this movie, and she was 35, so 22 years. But
by the way,
it is mentioned in the movie. Like, he is an old man, and she says, and that's part of why he's also wrong for her, as somebody who goes for people who are wrong for her that her father wouldn't like. It's one of those things, but then also the werewolf bite gives him the youthfulness that he didn't have the first time they meet,
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna break new ground here by pointing out that Michelle Pfeiffer is a very beautiful person. And like her first scene, I was just like, I put in my notes.
Oh, yeah, you're like,
this is ridiculously attractive person.
Yeah, she's
this is stupid. Like,
why is she sorry to go turn against the tide here of clearly the narrative that has been for years. Michelle Pfeiffer, huge uggo, but actually she's beautiful. And she's with Michael Douglas now in the Ant-Man movies. He's not 22 years older than her, but he is, I don't know, I would assume 15 or 18 years older.
Yeah, probably. It's also weird rewatching
those cheekbones. It just makes her seem more
right. She's not in a lot of this movie till the third act. Like, she's really in and out of this movie until the third act.
She's not in and out. That was a different movie with Kevin.
Wah. She does not have a lot of screen time until the third act of this movie.
Okay.
Like, there's long stretches without her.
There's a lot of long stretches with Richard Jenkins, who's in quite a bit of this movie.
More Jenkins.
Okay. So it opens very plainly. He's driving and he hits a wolf and he gets bit on the hand.
No, it's funny. Even it's less set up than even Misery, because in Misery we're like, he's a writer, he just finished his book, but this is like a guy.
We didn't know where he was going. We didn't know what his job was, what his name is. We don't know what's happening. We just assume it's Jack Nicholson playing himself. We don't know what's happening. And this movie also it's not quite the same thing. There are some stars from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s who, as they go older, are like, who are unconventional sex symbols, I would say, obviously when they're younger. But like, I remember when Al Pacino came back for Sea of Love. It's a big deal. He hadn't done a movie in a while, but he was supposed to be a sex symbol in that movie. And I was like, what is happening? This guy is wearing a suit that is like David Byrne sizes too big.
Yeah.
His hair is like an unmade bed. He looks like a schmo. And, they put him against like Drop Dead Sexy Ellen Barkin.
Mm-hmm.
And so this reminded me of that a little too. I don't think there wasn't the age gap. I don't know. I can't speak to actually the age gap between Pacino and Barkin in that movie. Maybe it was pretty big. But this was also another one where it's like, Jack is a bad boy. He's a sex symbol. I'm like, he's a weird looking dude.
Well, this is a weird one though, because Jack Nicholson in real life was a sex symbol of sorts, in that he was a ladies' man and he dated around and
I'm saying, obviously, if you're a rich actor,
but also he's like very charismatic and funny, and he's got that Jack persona. So I think that always worked for him. Besides the money and the fame, it's like he is Jack Nicholson, and I think he has an aura to him that I can understand would be attractive. But it is funny in movie roles that no matter what he's playing, it's like we accept who he's with because he's played by Jack Nicholson.
No, I know, so exactly. Like... No, that's the whole point. And then also he's one of the actors who, like Pacino, as they get older, the roles that they known for in their old age feel like parodies of their own performances,
Yes.
And in a ways, Batman was that, and they leaned into it. They leaned into the Jack Nicholson-ness of the Joker in that. and I'm always reminded too, if we're drawing parallels between Pacino and Nicholson, is that Pacino then also did the comic book bad guy route by being Big Boy Caprice and Dick Tracy, for which he got an Oscar nomination for that role. He's also great in that role.
No,
But
he is. Nicholson, yeah, there's definitely, like you said, like, these actors, their performances lean into it, and then even the movies themselves lean into, like, a certain sense of meta-ness, self-parody. Even this movie, though, it's funny because when he has that line when he does the hair club for men, I'm not just a member, I'm also a president.
For those who don't know, that was a
member.
commercial back in the day.
Yeah. Look, there is a meta joke there to the fact that Jack Nicholson, since he was a young man, had a very receding hairline. Like, he was like, his hair, he never had a great head of hair even when he was young. So it's like, okay, so Jack Nicholson's going to be playing a guy who's supposed to be getting older, becomes a werewolf, so he's getting hairier, and then Jack Nicholson,
which is funny because he's also always been hairy.
Yeah, yes. Well,
So, okay, he's been on the hand, and then we see that weird wolf face, which is like a animatronic wolf that we'll see at the end of the movie too.
And we see the first, just the fact that this will not be a movie where any like the action is well directed, because there's like, it's hard to explain. There's a mix between sometimes they do like jittery cam, or they do this kind of cheesy slow-mo. Slow-mo can look great and awesome.
No, Eric, I have this in my notes. When she falls off the horse.
Yes.
No, that's what I was literally talking about last week that Ridley Scott does in the Hannibal movie. There's quick moments of like blurry cam that look terrible. They didn't look good then, and they age even worse. And this movie had it too. And because I tried to find a clip that I was talking about to put on Twitter for our listeners, I couldn't. They only had very specific clips of Hannibal,
right?
Found on YouTube, and that none of them were what I was looking for. But this movie demonstrates it perfectly of how bad it looks. So,
yeah. Again, it's like we knew what cool slow-mo looked like already, and we knew like cool action scenes could look like. So when this movie, whenever they try to do that, and it just like feels very awkward.
But do you understand how I don't know how to describe it?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Like, it's weird looking.
I just kept putting in my notes like cheesy slow-mo, and that's not me saying that all slow-mo is cheesy. It's this particular way of doing it, this sort of like way it's filmed, or the film, like the way that they're like playing it back, whatever. I'm not great with my technical descriptions here. It looks strange and awkward and unintentionally funny. Yeah.
All right, let's blow through this Pop Stand movie. He's home. He's basically like, I got bit by a wolf. His wife's in the shower. We don't see that it's Kate Nelligan yet. And he got back from Vermont. She asked if we signed the papers. We still don't know what he does. And then comes an amazing act of teleportation, Eric, where he's walking in New York at Union Square.
Yeah.
And he goes directly into the Bradbury Building in Los Angeles. And that's where they filmed this publishing house. And then it's just sleepiness for like 15 minutes as they.
This is my favorite part of the movie,
which is absolutely scintillating to Eric. Which is
I was.
He not only was on the edge of his seat, he was on the edge of the seat of the guy next to him.
I went to my neighbor's house.
Rex Reed called this steamy.
I got on the edge of his seat. First of all, it's something none of us can relate to anymore, which is the idea that a billionaire has bought their big company and he's going to fire a bunch of people. That's not topical.
I don't know that some writer just pulled that out of their ass. So
right, that never happens. That's no one can relate to that anymore. So that was sadly very, very topical. I mean, it's always topical, but right now, because we're having once more like wave after wave of layoffs and all these companies that get bought, restructured, reorganized. So yeah, learning that. And then I like,
you love the book editing world, the book publishing world as much as I hate Pauly.
Yes, perhaps that is very true here. I don't know, and I really, David Hyde Pierce, who I guess had just broken out because Frasier was like a year old. Like he probably filmed this in between Frasier seasons, 1 and 2. But yeah, just like, I don't know, like he was making me laugh right away. Like when he asked what happened to your hand, and he said a wolf bit me, and he goes, I just asked. Like his delivery is very good. You can tell they knew he was just funny, and they gave him a lot of like close-ups. And
well, there's the "You Are My God" line, which I do remember now after hearing it. Oh, it's like, oh, people laughed in the crowd when he said that. Like,
and Spader's funny. I think this stuff top notch, Pee Wee.
Good stuff, Pee Wee. Action packed.
Yes. I was
1 foot long.
It was just like riveted. I enjoyed this portion of the movie.
Glued to your seat. Well, then you must have been super pissed that it never went back and circled back to the book publishing world to find out what happened to his coworkers, what happened to his position.
No, you're right. It's weird because, and again, I don't know what the original ending was. I have to think, because they said test audiences hated it.
Oh yeah, I tried to look up what the original was.
It probably was much smaller. Like I'm guessing wolf fight, like going that, like try say going that big, because it was not big or impressive. But I think it tried to be, and I bet it was smaller, and maybe he still went back to his life. Because like you said, it's like, again, it's fine. We can skip around a bunch with this movie. It's like Spader, in the third act is still like, oh, he'll probably be named as the murder suspect, right? Like he's still trying to like angle for that job. There's like so much back and forth on that, and then yes, nothing comes of it.
She doesn't even
either of them get the job.
She doesn't even clear his name. Like
No.
He's fled and the cops show up, and she's got a different story, and she's like, well, Stuart was all about wanting to track Will down, and the cops were like, you're right, he left as soon as he found out he was here with you, and like all this stuff. She could have just said, he told me he killed Charlotte Randall, and cleared Will's name. She doesn't even do that. She's just like, he's at the airport fleeing the country. Gotta go by.
Well, she's wolfing out. She's got to.
Well, she is because she got bit, but from the inside. Know what I'm saying?
No,
she got bit vaginally, is what I'm saying. So I guess it's trying. Well, the funny thing is, this is not a rules movie, even though he goes to the old makeup guy and said, "What are the rules?" And the guy's like, "I don't even know the rules." But he's kind of like, the first rule is there are no rules. Is that he said some people don't even need to get bit to turn into a werewolf, and I wrote, what the fuck, in my notes. And I feel like maybe that was setting up for how she turned, like, because he made it sound like nothing needed to happen. Like you just have a wolf inside you, not much less two wolves.
It's a viral. At Christopher Plummer's at Alden's party, there is a woman talking about viruses that are going to kill us all. So
okay, so I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's definitely something, which is that Jack Nicholson's character, after he starts changing, and so he starts smelling tequila on the dude, he can hear things, he hears what the conversation's going on in his office as he steps out onto that balcony area. He is like, hey, the wolf gave me something.
Yeah.
So he's not like, hey, fuck, I'm a werewolf. He's like, he even asked the professor guy, he's like, the wolf transferred something into me. So he's thinking it might be a virus or biological or something, but credit where credit's due, he's connecting the very obvious dots here that everyone in the audiences already knows.
But it's one of those movies where we have to assume they don't know about werewolf fiction, because while he does guess, hey, something is happening to me because of that wolf bite, he's not like, oh shit, like a werewolf.
No, that's the thing. Is like, because he goes to the guy who would say that.
Yes,
you're a werewolf, and the guy doesn't. He doesn't even say, well, it's called lycanthropy.
He's like, wolf demon
said that.
Yeah,
Back in the first Universal movie, they're talking about lycanthropy, even though they call it a psychological condition. But nobody mentions it. They just say the wolf comes out of you and you become the wolf. And no one, I don't think anyone says werewolf in this movie, right?
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
So okay, so he starts having anxiety attacks followed by prolonged bouts of sleep, which seem to rejuvenate him and make him all sexually active once again, and but also allows him to smell his protege's scent on his wife's robe, I think that was, or clothes at least, and then causing a confrontation. So he's this guy who's been pushed out of his job by, a corporate takeover, and his wife's, and then he learned that his protege, who's obviously smarmy, but he's too much of a nice guy to have seen it, stabbed him in the back, took his job, and then is also sleeping with his wife. So this is a very much a falling down scenario here for Will Randall, except he now has the power of the wolf and can do things about it. And he uses it. It's like he doesn't necessarily, he uses his scent to find out that his wife's cheating, but everything else is just his youthfulness brings back a boldness that he once had or never had.
And it's, just sort of comical that he can smell the booze on people and whatnot. Matt, are you telling me you were not intrigued and excited when he was trying to start his own publishing house? Come on. He was going to gather 7 of their best writers.
I wanted him to kill everyone. I hated everyone.
I wanted him to start a new publishing house with David Hyde Pierce and his other assistant called Wolf Publishing.
I said it was called Wolf Publishing.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, that was my idea for the end of the movie. When he's like,
right.
and he answers the phone. He's like, Wolf Publishing.
Oh. A freeze frame. I put Man Pierce is great after he said, "Oh my god."
Wait, what?
You mentioned that a big laugh line was when the way David Hyde Pierce says, "Oh my god," and I put in my notes, "Man Pierce is great."
oh, I thought you said Man Pierce's grape, which is like a guy stabs a grape. I didn't know what the fuck you just said.
That's a headline.
Man bites dog, man pierces grape. Okay. So that's Christopher Plummer there as the billionaire and father. Michelle Pfeiffer's playing Christopher Plummer's rich girl,
rebellious,
also mentions in passing that she was a former druggie and delinquent. Yep. So I
ran with a bad crowd.
She was in a recovery, but never got the love from her cold rich father, but also has always had a life of privilege. And so she's got spunk and Will's got pizzazz, and they're both bebopping and scatting, and James Spader's losing it. And that's my Seinfeld reference.
And
okay.
Nothing comes, this has to be, again, rewrites and changes. Nothing comes of the dead brother, right?
No, and you know who that is?
It was someone. I knew it was someone.
So I looked, so I saw the picture and I'm like, that looks like Justin Kirk, who I had just seen all season long on Perry Mason.
From Weeds, okay.
Yeah, because he plays Hamilton Berger on that show, who is the DA in the Perry Mason universe. And I looked it up, and uncredited, he is the brother of Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie.
Had to have once been connected to something, It just
no. And we never, and the fact that he died, but also he killed himself, right? Like, so that's nothing ever comes of that. So who knows what was originally planned or what version of the script that was. Mm-hmm. That backstory was part of the Alden family.
Because we should mention, like you mentioned, Elaine May uncredited on this. I bet there were other writers uncredited. There are 2 credited writers. One, Jim Harrison, swore off Hollywood after this, and the other, Wesley Strick. It's just he also wrote Cape Fear, and he
we just did
Batman Returns, and so it's like he's done a bunch of stuff. But again, it's like this is one of those movies where it's like you can't really place the blame on anyone, because it just seems like a movie that was being pulled in a million directions as far as what the fuck did they even want this movie to be.
Well, Wesley Strick
they had a great publishing story showdown movie, but they dropped the ball.
They didn't go the direction Eric really wanted them to go. He's like, no more genre, more publishing.
I'm so glad you looked up that was Justin Kirk, because I could tell it was somebody that I wasn't.
No, and I don't even know if I would have caught it had I not just watched season 2 of Perry Mason the past 2 months. He was also a writer on The Man in the High Castle for all the seasons on that show. So he's still working with the Wesley Strick.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so where are we at? He's standing up for himself. He's calling around because it's pre-internet. Everyone just has to make phone calls and stuff. People have to go visit people in person.
And this is when Michelle is floating in and out of the movie. So they have that funny moment where he tells her, he's being very blunt with her, saying how, people are interested in you because you're beautiful, but you're not very interesting. And just you tell it like it is.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm going to give Elaine May a pass if she's the one who gave us peanut butter and jellies like mother's milk to me. That line should never be said by anybody in a movie. But it is weirdly specific that they're eating peanut butter and jelly and drinking milk and then let's take our milk to the living room. That felt like weird improv-y stuff that's just thrown in to make something less boring. I guess it did. But
it's funny because I just went to see Psycho 1 through 3 at the New Beverly last night. And it's in the first Psycho, he's like, I'm making sandwiches and sandwiches with milk. And he's such a Norman Bates is a weird guy, but they continue it through the sequels. He's always drinking milk is his like go-to drink with his sandwiches
because it's the drink of psychopaths, Eric, and it always has been.
Yes.
Someone just sitting down with a giant cup of milk. Fucking go to jail. Go to the raft. Okay, so but then it's the thing where he goes out. They kind of hit it off there, and he has sort of another panic attack, and he spends the night, but he basically wolfs out and goes out at night and kills a deer and then ditches her in the morning.
Yep.
And then it's him checking up. It's trying to get his job back, and it's being successful. And at the same time, he's seeing the doctor, and at the same time, he's also goes out again, and this time he gets like a wolf attack, and he hears zoo animals, and he goes to the zoo, and then David Schwimmer's there, and then he bites the fingers off of a mugger. So through all this, he is going out at night. I don't know how this coincides with the full moon or why it's happening to him when it's
right.
Werewolf Lore states that it should only happen at a very specific time during the month.
And he also says the thing about it's kind of like the super soldier formula. It'll accent your traits. So if you're a bad person, it makes you like a bad
yes. A good soldier or a good man.
Right.
So but then we get the confrontation with the wife in the lobby, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Laura has come there on his request, but she's witnesses the whole thing. And we get there, they finally meet up in the hotel room. He's handcuffed himself to the bed with handcuffs he's stolen from the cops.
For David Schwimmer.
Yes. Specifically David Schwimmer's handcuffs. And it all works. And it works for me because she does literally see him as a bad idea. Yeah. And at what point she actually starts to develop feelings for him, I'm not quite sure. The fact that he's immediately the next morning after they have sex wanted by the police or questioned by the police probably makes him more enticing to her.
Sure.
But he does what we all do, and I don't know if this is a big secret. Men across the world all do this after we have sex, is we go to the park and howl anyway. So I don't even think that was part of his werewolf fight.
Right. That's just part of his routine.
That's just what we all do, honestly. So yeah, it's trying to think. At this point,
he pisses on James Spader.
He pisses on his shoes, and they were suede. And it's both of these guys taking Frank Drebin long pees.
I know they're having a long conversation while each takes a turn taking a piss.
Lengthy urinations happening here. But at this point, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking when I saw it at the time. I don't mean why I went. I mean my mental processes during the film of we saw him bite James Spader when he confronts him at his apartment when he's fucking his wife. How many people in the audience, what are we supposed to know at this point about James Spader? Because James Spader as a wolf is out of nowhere. We don't see James Spader's character hearing things. We don't see him starting to smell things more. We don't see him go through the steps that Will does. And so that's all off screen. The last time we see James Spader, he's perfectly fine. And he's talking to Christopher Plummer's character about maybe getting his jobs back because Will might be questioned by the police after his wife's found dead. And then he's just full, werewolf eye contacts.
It's such a weird way. It's not out of nowhere because obviously we saw him get bit, but and obviously Will is so concerned. Once Charlotte's killed, did I kill her? Oh, because I don't know if we mentioned when the muggers where he has the fingers in his pocket and stuff.
Yeah.
So and it's implied he killed them, although you could argue in self-defense, but it's he killed them. Two of them. One runs away, which is weird. The one who runs away you'd think would also come back, but that doesn't. But he's worried he killed Charlotte. And and yes, it's been set up that Spader will be the evil werewolf, but it's such a strange way to reveal it. It's such a strange thing to not have it be like a scene where, you know, Pfeiffer thinks it's like Nicholson coming at her and it's really Spader. To, like you said, he just shows up and he's got yellow contacts in. He's just like, hey, look at me.
And he's completely creepy. To the point where he's creeping out Richard Jenkins' character.
Yeah, yes,
like he's like staring at him from the side. And like for a second I was like, is he hypnotizing him or mesmerizing him? Or is Richard Jenkins just playing it like he's fully like put off by this guy who should honestly be a suspect within seconds of walking in that room, because he's so obviously unsettling. And when he gets to the estate and confronts the guard, he's like, you know, as half wolfed out as this movie allows these actors to be, but he looks like a crazy monster. And the guard's like, hey buddy, like, like what's going on there? And he's like, nothing, I just look like a werewolf.
And this is his one of my notes for like, this is now very silly. Like, yeah, when he kills George the security, when he runs him over with his wolf eyes and his, you know, wolf facial hair, this is all. Yeah.
And we should mention too that Laura, before she meets James Spader there in the precinct, starts having doubts also about Will, because she sees the mud on his shoes and she starts becoming more and more wary about him. And like, maybe he did leave in the middle of the night, because she was fully prepared to cover for him that the morning after, but now she's having second thoughts, to the point where she was going to give a statement while he didn't even know what was happening. And she locked him up and was going back to talk to the cops. Had it not been for Spader, for Stewart being there and giving her the obvious killer, Charlotte's killer, she would have probably just ratted out Will.
Yes. And it was very funny to me to read that this was a reshot ending. It's just so funny to me because it's such a lackluster ending. Like,
it is. It's all lackluster. The whole movie's lackluster.
When she takes the fire extinguisher and sprays it in a werewolf's face.
Another Frank Drebin moment.
In slow-mo.
It's like as if she threw a pillow into his face. And he was like, ah.
Oh, you know, it's like, you forgot the old man is like, fire extinguishers. The werewolf face.
He reacted to the fire extinguisher being blown in his face the way a wrestler does in a street fight match. Like, we're like, ah, you know.
And then just like Nicholson trying to pull the bars open, it's all like Jerry. And then
when they leap, it looks stupid. Like when they jump in the air,
Yes, and when she shoots him, I laughed so hard it felt like self-parody. Because it's a similar moment. It's just done so much better in Blade, when, you know, Deacon Frost leaps at Blade and Blade like throws all the needles at him, you know, but it's like, it's done like, and we just see him land and he's got them all in. But here, Spader leaps slow-mo at Nicholson, and then blam, he's shot and he's still flying in the air. He goes, ah! But we keep cutting back to her shooting again, and then we come back to Spader still flying through there, going, ah! Back to Pfeiffer shooting, back to Spader, ah! And he's still and it was so funny to me. It's like, now that's entertainment.
Because... are you saying that Mike Nichols should not have directed a John Wick movie?
I don't think he would have been right for it.
All right. Look, we all try things. We all give things.
We all try.
Never be afraid to be seen trying.
I remember, it's funny because, you know, this was in theory, like, you know, we're doing this run because of this era where all these, you know, huge people were being attached to these movies, and on paper this was just like, wow, okay, Nicholson and Pfeiffer are doing this werewolf movie. That sounds cool. And I remember I read a draft of the script a year before. Someone got me a draft of the script. Who the fuck knows how much it compared to the final movie? I do remember reading it and being excited that I was going to read it, and then finishing it being like, but then, the actual.
But you don't remember the ending?
I don't remember anything. Okay. Like, honestly,
with as much as you love the world of cutthroat book publishing, you did not read like one or this. Didn't
I think I gave notes and I was like, more book publishing, but they didn't listen.
Less wolf. Yeah.
Yes. The true Wolf of Wall Street.
You're like the cover page. You give a huge note where it says "Wolf" and you're like, should it be Wolf though? You're like,
his name is Will Wolf. Yeah. And this even like the very end, like, you know, okay, she's got the yellow eyes, she's gonna be a werewolf too now, and then those overlays of this big close-up of her with the yellow contacts to Nicholson to the wolf that he's now fully become,
dumb. I'm sorry, but the dumb looking wolf.
No, the dumb looking wolf that I guess he'll be forever now.
Yeah,
or,
like there's
or the wolf will wander into Clifford Plummer's office and say, "Give me my job back."
He's like, "I'm here for my first day of my new job, and these are my coworkers." And everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
I didn't kill my wife, but he's a wolf thing. Full wolf.
It's because this movie didn't deal with rules. It also didn't deal with cures or endings. So it's like it didn't have an out. And I felt like, well, we don't know what we can do because we didn't like the amulet. Like, I guess he could go back and get that amulet and wear it, right? Like, because it was working. He had to tear it off. But that's the only. What are they going to do? Share the amulet?
Right. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk. Well, we didn't talk about it because it's dumb and doesn't mean anything. But yeah, he tears the amulet off. Like he's gonna let himself wolf out to fight Spader, but it's such a whatever fight. So it's like
there's so much stupid leaping. And this before that fight, the leaping was dumb when he would like leap after the deer and stuff like that. It was all dumb.
Yeah, Wolf. New favorite movie. The publishing match.
The publishing wars of 1994.
That new company he was going to start. It could have been great. He had back for it. They should have done a spinoff with David Hyde Pierce's character and his adventures.
I was going to say, like, the new publishing house would only represent, what was the fucking of Tom Wolfe books, who wrote Bonfire of the Vanities. Like, we only represent authors named Wolfe.
Meet your new client, Tom Wolfe.
He's like, oh, Wolf.
Nicholson arches his eyebrow and cut to credits.
He's like, never rub up another man's rhubarb.
Oh, there was a part before we wrap up here. Where did I put? Jack had a really weird laugh moment.
What?
He had a really. There we go. I don't remember who said it to him. Oh, I think it must have been his assistant, just based on where because it's the scene where he's taking the meat out of the sandwich. He doesn't want the bread. And she says to him, you know, if you want to cancel, you have to do it yourself. And Nicholson's just like, it just doesn't make sense. His like laugh, his response. And I don't know if that's what he thought, like, I'm going crazy. I'm a wolf, but I'm going to laugh really oddly at this line she said that was not meant to be a big joke line. But, you know, don't question Jack.
I don't know why you're complaining about your new favorite movie, but that's fine.
No movie is perfect. And so,
you know what this movie needed? Pauly. If I wanted anyone to crash that party, if it wasn't a werewolf,
with his robot.
Pauly and his robot just coming in. All right, everybody. That was Wolf. Look,
we didn't talk about what we're doing next week at the beginning like we normally do.
That's true. Okay. Oh, man. Now people actually have to listen to all the way to the end, which they don't. So
no, they should.
They should, but they don't. But let's just we'll say it now. We're doing Mary Shelley's Frankenstein next week. Much in the vein that, you know, very much sold as, you know, because Bram Stoker's Dracula came out, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and, you know,
same year as Wolf.
Famous pioneering seminal gothic horror novel of the era from Mary Shelley. This time directed by Kenneth Branagh, and he's somebody who's obviously still working today and still does very big things. But we'll talk about this particular initial heyday for Kenneth Branagh at the time, and
written by
late 80s into Frank Darabont, who I believe said it was the best script he ever wrote, which led to the worst movie he'd ever seen. So we'll talk about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
So we're in the zone of the best stuff right now. Is what
yes, well, I do like that we are going to end with a movie I think is very good.
We got some good. We don't worry, guys.
We're going to have a few stinkeroonies in here, but it'll all work itself out. And so Kenneth Branagh directs and stars in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Helena Bonham Carter and someone we've already seen in one of our movies here, Robert De Niro.
Yep.
And until that point, until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shockma.
Shockma.
Shockma!